is how we throw the best energy events. We all love events, whether they're birthdays, festivals, or digital wildcatter events. But what goes into making a successful one? Now, I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill baby shower or luncheon. I'm talking about events with hundreds of people, even thousands. How do you make sure everyone's happy while still getting what you need out of it? So I'm gonna break it down into 3 categories: team members, funding, and content. All right, let's start off with point number 1, team members. Team members are the most crucial thing to make your events happen successfully. If you don't have a good team, you won't have a good event. So let's break down that team into even more sections: sales and sponsorships, logistics and planning, and marketing. So let's start off with planning and logistics. For our team at Digital Wildcatters, we have Sydney. She's the events manager here at the company. She's basically the nucleus of the cell. She does everything from finding the venue, designing the venue, budgeting, finding vendors, who would be a good sponsorship. Basically, we can't do anything without her. She plans everything logistics-wise and guides us on what exactly we need to make a successful event. Had to put on a scarf because it is freezing out here in Denver, and I'm from Houston, so I'm not used to that at all. Moving on with the rest of the team, so now we have sales and sponsorships. So in the team at Digital Wildcatters, we have Jake and Matt powerhousing this side of the team. So what Jake and Matt are doing is they are finding companies that they think would be a good fit to attend our events, depending on the audience that we have coming to that event. The people at our events give value to these sponsors because they are directly related or in the industry of that company. With that, they could gain more business development, more sales, more leads, more contacts. All of that value add can be within sponsorships. So not only are they getting sponsorships, they're working on getting more attendees to come to our events. So attending luncheons, networking events, they're constantly gaining a network to sell and push our event and get people to come. So the next team we have is the marketing team, and this is the biggest team we have at our company at Digital Wildcatters. So within our marketing team, we have 4 people. Let's start off with Jacob, the main editor we have here at Digital Wildcatters. So Jacob is the one that's taking all the content and he's making videos, promos, commercials, all the stuff that we shoot in order to promote this event. Jacob is the one pumping them out and editing it. Next, we have Jules. She's basically our social media strategist. She's the master behind our Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all our socials she handles. She's scheduling out posts, she's figuring out captions. She has all posts lined up for the week, for the month, ready to go. Next, we have Julie. She's one of the co-founders of Digital Wildcatters. No one really knows what she does because she does so many damn things. So she really has her hands in all of these departments, but one of them being marketing. And she's basically the one designing the website, designing flyers, designing ads. All the copy that you see that looks good, looks extravagant, looks eye-catching, Julie is most likely behind that. Finally, we have myself. I'm the one that's making the scripts, the writing for any videos that you see. Any videos that we do need, I'll be the one producing it, as well as consulting with the team. Hey, we need these videos to get done. This is how they should be done. This is what they should look like. So that makes up our marketing team here at Digital Wildcatters. Each person has a very specific role in order to get this machine rolling. So generally the 4 of us's goal is to get as many eyes as we can on the event before it actually happens, through social media, through ads, through flyers, through website, through all kinds of promotion. So within our planning and logistics category, we have Sydney's right-hand woman, Misty. So what Misty is doing, she's working alongside Sydney, the events manager, to make sure everything is being fulfilled and all logistics are being completed. Not only is she doing that before the event, but during the event, she's making sure on-site duties are completed. So making sure lunch is getting delivered, people are getting tended to. Any questions people have, she'll have an answer for them. So alongside making sure all the logistics are complete, she's booking everyone's flights, booking their hotels, making sure all the accommodations are met. So that's what Misty does in the planning and logistics aspect. So last but not least, we have John, who is in the planning and logistics category. So what John is doing on the back end side is he's working with his sales team after deals go through contracts be signed, and he's making sure everything is being fulfilled the way they should be. So setting deal automations during the whole pipeline so that we can have a smooth and fast process. He's making sure payments have been tracked and fulfilled by sponsors as well as attendees. As far as things that he's doing on site, he's making sure that people are getting checked in properly and part of that full process. So that's the planning and logistics side of the team. So more recently, we have a new team member. Her name is Crystal. So what Crystal does is she manages customer success. She makes sure that people are attended to before, during, and after the event. So things like following up, sending care packages, sending messages. It's very important to take care of your client not only before and during, but after the event as well. Not many people think about this step, and this is what will set you apart from other competitors. So you might be wondering why we haven't mentioned Haley, and that's because she's heading our dev team for our new app. So she's mainly handling things during the event to help make sure people are being tended to properly, as well as setting up whatever needs to be done prior to the event. So last but not least, we have Colin, our CEO. No one really knows what he does, but just know he plays a vital role in making events happen. So segment number 2 is going to be funding. When it comes to big events with hundreds or even thousands of people, there are going to be a lot of costs associated with that. Now, how do you fund a project or event with that much money involved? So a few of the major expenses that you have to consider when throwing a big event are mainly the venue, the cost for ticketing, food and drink, and even travel expenses for your team. And obviously all the time and labor for your team itself. So your venue is going to be your biggest expense most likely. We are here at Temple Nightclub where we're hosting our ETN Denver, so let's check it out. So as you can see, a lot goes into setting up these events. Now, depending on your venue, there could be multiple costs associated outside of your venue. Things like security, things like AV. So all these costs might be different from the venue that you're getting. So let's ask Sydney, our events manager, what are some of the biggest costs associated with events? Sydney, what are some of the biggest expense when it comes to these kinds of events?
Food and beverage. Everyone, big drinkers. Big drinkers. Spend a lot of money on pizza and free drinks and all the things that keep people happy.
So while I have you, Sydney, what are some of the other things that you have to consider when running an event like this?
We keep everything pretty organized, but I would say the top 2 things that I worry about the most are budget, obviously, because we want to be profitable, we want to keep the business up and running, but also the venue choice, I feel it can make or break any event. The vibe that we want at DW is not your typical event vibe, so it's a little harder for us to find venues that fit in our budget and fit the vibe. And also being outside of Houston, making sure it's in a good part of town. I'm not super familiar with Denver or Midland or Oklahoma City, so asking around, making sure that we're not picking somewhere that's in a sketchy area that people want to go to, and just making sure there's enough room for everyone. And obviously AV is really important. We can't run presentations without adequate sound and a big enough screen.
There's a lot there for sure, and obviously at DW we want a different vibe. I mean, what kind of corporate event have you seen at a nightclub? Like, look behind me. So as you can see, there's a lot of costs associated in throwing these events. Food and drink can easily run you greater than $10,000. So that's why it's important for the sponsorship and sales team like Matt and Jake to solidify those sponsorships to help with that funding and cover those costs. So obviously budgeting and funding is a huge part of running events to make sure you're profitable, how much your expenses are. So besides the perks of having a VIP lounge, VIP drinks, unlimited drink tickets, you have really cool signage, and even for sponsors to play a bigger role in these events and have their own perks that come along with that. So topic number 3 is going to be content. Now, when I say content, I mean, what exactly is the event going to be about? So after you pick your audience, you need to make sure the content that you are releasing or talking about is tailored for the audience that you want to attract. For example, at Digital Wildcatters, we are in the energy industry. So everything that we do, we make sure is tailored for people in that industry and what would really benefit those kinds of people. So a few examples for you, we have Empower, that is energizing Bitcoin. We have energy producers and Bitcoin miners come together. They're basically like 2 soulmates. So we're creating a mutualistic relationship to help out 2 people in the industry. Another example would be our event Fuse. So Fuse brings together people from all verticals of energy. We talk about the world's current energy crisis and what needs to be done to solve it. Now, the event that we are hosting today, Energy Tech Night, we bring together a bunch of people from the industry, and there's a lot of networking. People have a good time having food and drinks. We also have a startup competition. We have 6 companies go head to head and talk about their company, give a quick 8-minute presentation, and at the very end of it, you have the audience decide who's the winner. So with that, you have companies telling their story, telling their mission, what they do to people from all over the industry, potential clients, potential investors, potential employees. You have so many opportunities when being at events like this. So it's important that your content revolves around the industry that you want to target. All the content that you talk about, make, revolve around depends on who is coming to your events. So, Misty, what have you been working on when it comes to setting up this event?
Well, I guess in the beginning, I order all the supplies, like anything outside of the promotional materials. So anything from like the table stands or like napkins, plates, anything like that. Also the food. So tonight we're having pizza. So that's another thing. And then the VIP food, which is like a charcuterie board, something a little more special than just the pizza. And then I'm also going to be working check-in.
So tell me and the camera, what are you working on when it comes to the events? What do you handle?
Pretty much everything. This whole thing couldn't run without me. So here's what I'm working on. I've got the computer and the monitor set up, and so you've got a kind of complex switching thing going on here because we've got to play commercials that we play in between the presentations, but also the presenters have to be able to come in and plug in their computers to be able to show their demos of their products. And so we've got to control all that from here, make sure everything kind of goes off without a hitch. Also keep the tunes popping the entire time, and so we've got a playlist.
All right, guys, we have another rare encounter with Crystal, our customer service experience manager. So, Crystal, tell us in the camera what you've been doing to set up this event.
I've just been helping Sydney make sure all of our sponsors are taken care of, getting food set up with Misty, and then just making sure everything, is streamlined for the event.
So a lot more than customer experience, obviously. So now that we've talked about the importance of the team, the funding, and the content being played at your events, this should give you a better understanding on what to look for when throwing big events to make them profitable from a company perspective. So with your team members in their respective departments, you have people handling every part of the job. You have people working on the content, the sales, the logistics, the back-end work, everything that needs to happen in order for these events to be easier to execute. So now that you know how to throw a successful event, I'm gonna go do what I need to do to make this one successful. If you guys have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.